Song 14, A Woman's Role in the Dharma, Obeisance to All Gurus. Once Jetsa Milarepa intended to go to North Horse Gate Snow Mountain to practice meditation. On the way he came to Geba Lesum in the district of Jung. It was autumn and the villagers were busy harvesting. In a large field a very beautiful girl, about 15 years of age, was leading a group of labourers. She seemed to have all the qualifications of an angel of wisdom, Dakini. Milarepa approached her and said, "Dear patroness, please give me alms." "Dear yogi, please go to my house," the girl replied. "It is over there. Wait for me at the door. I will come directly." Accordingly, Milarepa went to her house, pushed the door open with his staff, and entered. Immediately, an ugly old woman with a handful of ashes rushed at him, shouting, "You miserable yogi beggars! I never see you in one place. In the summer you all show up begging for milk and butter. In the winter you all come for grain. I'll wager you wanted to sneak in to steal my daughters and daughter-in-law's jewelry." Grumbling and trembling with rage, she was about to throw the ashes at Milarepa when he said, "Wait a minute, grandmother. Please listen to me." He then sang a song with 9 meanings. Above is the auspicious heaven, below are the 3 paths of misery. In between are those who are not free to choose their birth. These 3 all converge on you. Grandmother, you are an angry woman and dislike the Dharma. Question your own thoughts and your mind examine. You should practice the Buddha's teaching. You need a qualified and dependable guru. Think carefully, dear lady. When you were first seen here, did you dream you would become an old nanny goat? In the morning you get up from bed, in the evening you go to sleep. In between you do endless housework. You are engrossed in these 3 things. Grandmother, you are the unpaid maid. Question your own thought and your mind examine. You should practice Buddha's teaching. You need a qualified and dependable guru. Then these things may be different for you. The head of the family is the most important one. Income and earnings are the next most longed for things. Then sons and nephews are wanted most. By these 3 you are bound. Grandmother, for yourself you have no share. Question your own thought and your mind examine. You should practice Buddha's teaching. You need a qualified and dependable guru, and then things may be different for you. Attaining what you want even though you steal, getting what you desire even though you rob, fighting your foe without regard for death and wounds, to these 3 things you are subjected. Grandmother, you are burned up with fury. When you come upon your foe, question your own thought and your mind examine. You should practice Buddha's teaching. You need a qualified and dependable guru, and then things may be different for you. Gossip about other women and their manners is what interests you. To the affairs of your own son and nephew you pay attention. You talk of widows and relatives is your delight. These 3 things enchant you. Grandmother, are you so gentle when you gossip? Question your own thought and your mind examine. You should practice Buddha's teaching. You need a qualified and dependable guru, and then things may be different for you. To lift you from a chair is like pulling out a peg. With feeble legs you waddle like a thieving goose. Earth and stones seem to shatter when you drop into a seat. Senile and clumsy is your body. Grandmother, you have no choice but to obey. Question your own thought and your mind examine. You should practice the Buddha's teaching. What you require is a qualified and dependable guru, and from that you may find out how you have changed. Your skin is creased with wrinkles. Your bones stand out sharply from your shrunken flesh. You are deaf, dumb, imbecile, eccentric, and tottering. You are thrice deformed. Grandmother, your ugly face is wrapped in wrinkles. Question your own thought and your mind examine. You should practice Buddha's teaching. You need a qualified and dependable guru, and then things may be different for you. Your food and drink are cold and foul. Your coat is heavy and in rags. Your bed so rough it tears the skin. These 3 are your constant companions. Grandmother, you are now a wretch, half woman and half bitch. Question your own thought and your mind examine. You should practice Buddha's teaching. What you need is a qualified and dependable guru, and then things may be different from you. To attain a higher birth and liberation is harder than to see a star in daytime. To fall into samsara's wretched path is easy and happens often. Now with fear and grief at heart, you watch the time of death draw nigh. Grandmother, can you face death with confidence? Question your own thought and your mind examine. What you need is to practice the teaching of Buddha. What you need is a qualified and dependable guru. Upon hearing this profound yet melodious song, the old woman was so moved that she could not but develop a deep faith in the Jetson. Unconsciously her fists loosened, and the ashes slipped through her fingers to the floor. She regretted what she had done to the Jetson, and touched by his compassionate words, she could not help shedding tears. Meanwhile, the girl in the field, whose name was Bardabom, was just entering the house. Seeing the old woman in tears, she turned to Milarepa and cried, "What is the matter? Did you, a follower of Buddha, strike a poor old woman?" The grandmother quickly intervened. No, please do not wrongly accuse him. He never said anything unkind to me. It was I who treated him wrongly. He gave me such a proper and much-needed lesson that it moved me very deeply. It also awakened me to my neglect of religion. I was touched with such great remorse that it compelled me to shed tears. Oh, you are young and different from me. You have faith as well as wealth, and it is very fortunate for you to meet such a teacher as Milarepa. You should give him offerings and service, and ask him to bestow upon you the teachings and instructions. The girl replied, "Both of you are very wonderful. Are you the great yogi Milarepa? By merely meeting you, I shall have accumulated a great deal of merit. If you would kindly tell us your lineage, it will inspire us and also your other disciples. It will certainly change our hearts, so please do relate it for me." Milarepa thought, "This is a well-gifted woman. She will become a good disciple of mine," and so he sang. The omnipresent Dharmakaya is Buddha Samantabhadra. The majestic Sambhogakaya is Buddha, the thunderbolt holder. The saviour of sentient beings, the Nirmanakaya, is Gautama Buddha. One may find the teachings of all these three Buddhas in my lineage. Such is the lineage of this yogi. Will you entrust yourself to it? Your lineage is indeed superb, said Bardabom. It is what the snow mountain is to rivers, the original source of all merits. I have heard people say that you, the followers of Dharma, have a so-called outer-pointing guru, and that by relying on him, one will be able to observe and see inwardly the so-called uncreated Dharmakaya. What kind of guru do you have? Who is your primary guru? Milarepa replied, I will sing a short song to explain the qualifications of a genuine guru. The guru who indicates the true knowledge from without is your outer guru. The guru who elucidates the awareness of mind within is your inner guru. The guru who illuminates the nature of your mind is your real guru. I am a yogi who has all three gurus. Is there a disciple here who wishes to be faithful to them? These gurus are extraordinary, exclaimed the girl. It is just like a string of gems on a golden chain. But before we beseech the teachings from them, what kind of initiations are required? Milarepa then sang. The vase is placed on your head is the outer initiation. The proof of the identity of self-body and the body of Buddha is the inner initiation. The illumination of the self-recognition of mind essence is the real initiation. I am a yogi who has attained all three. Is there a disciple here who wishes to attain them? Bardabom cried out, these initiations are indeed profound. It is just like the majesty of the lion which overrules all other animals. I have also heard that after the initiation there is an absolute teaching called leading awareness into the path. What is that? Please be kind enough to explain it to me. In answer to her questions, Milarepa sang. The outer teaching is hearing, thinking, and practicing. The inner teaching is the clearest elucidation of awareness. The absolute teaching is the non-gathering or separation of experience and realization. I am a yogi who has all three teachings. Is there a disciple here who wishes to attain them? Bardabom declared, these teachings are indeed like a restless mirror, which reflects images flawlessly. Milarepa replied, having attained these teachings, one should go to a hermitage and practice. The girl then asked, will you tell me about these practices? Milarepa sang in answer. Living in a rugged, deserted and solitary hut is the outer practice. Complete disregard of the self-body is the inner practice. Knowing the soul absolute through and through is the absolute practice. I am a yogi who knows all three. Is there a disciple here who wishes to learn them? After hearing this, the girl said, the practice you have mentioned is like a great eagle flying in the sky. Its splendor overshadows all other birds. She continued, I have heard people say that some yogis know a teaching called Pi practice, which is very helpful in improving meditation. Could you tell me about it? Milarepa then sang, by applying the outer Pi teaching to the distracted thought flow, the mind is collected. By applying the inner Pi teaching to awareness, the mind is awakened from drowsiness. To rest the mind on the innate nature is the absolute Pi teaching. I am a yogi who knows all three. Is there a disciple here who wishes to know them? This Pi teaching of yours is indeed wonderful, exclaimed Bardabom. It is just like the order or summons of the emperor. It quickens and intensifies one's accomplishments. But if one practices it, what experiences will one have? Milarepa sang in reply. One will experience the great and omnipresent non-effort route. One will experience the non-effort path, the great transparency. One will experience the non-effort fruit, great Mahamudra. I am a yogi who has experienced them all. Is there a disciple here who wishes to do likewise? Bardabom then said, these three experiences are like the bright sun shining from a cloudless sky, outlining everything on the earth clearly and distinctly. They are indeed wonderful. But what assurance have you gained through them? Milarepa sang again. No heaven and no hell is the assurance of knowledge. No meditation and no distraction is the assurance of practice. No hope and no fear is the assurance of accomplishment. I am a yogi with these three assurances. Is there a disciple here who wishes to attain them? Thereupon the girl became very faithful to the Jetson. She bowed down at his feet, and with great veneration she invited him to the inner chamber, and gave him perfect service and offerings. Then she said, Dear Guru, so far I have been hindered by ignorance, and so have not been able to think of the real teachings. Now, through your great compassion, please take me as your servant and disciple. Thus the girl fully realized her past faults of self-conceit. She then sang, O you peerless teacher, you most perfect of men, the incarnation of Buddha, how stupid, blind, and ignorant am I. How wrong and sinful in this world, the heat of summer was so great that it scattered the cool clouds, and I found no shelter in the shade. The cold of winter was so severe that though flowers still grew, I never found them. The influence of my evil habitual thinking was so strong that I never saw you as an accomplished being. Let me tell you my story. Because of my sinful karma, I was given this inferior female body. Through the evil hindrance of this world, I never realized the identity of self and Buddha. Lacking the necessary diligence, I seldom thought of Buddha's teaching. Though I desired the Dharma, lazy and inert, I frittered time away. To a woman, a prosperous birth means bondage and non-freedom. To a woman, a wretched birth means the loss of companionship. To our husbands, we sometimes talk of suicide. We set aside and leave our gracious parents. Great is our ambition, but our perseverance small. We are experts in slander, ingenious to blame, the source of news and gossip. We are those who must be kept away from the betrothed, but those to all we give food and money. We are ever slandered as stingy and ill-tempered. Seldom do we think of impermanence and death. The sinful hindrances always follow us like shadows. Now with deep sincerity I look forward to the Dharma. Pray give me a teaching easy to practice and understand. This pleased Milarepa very much, and he sang in reply, Happy and fortunate girl, should I praise your story or disparage it? If I praise it, you will be proud. If I disparage it, you will be angry. If I tell the truth, it will expose your hidden faults. Now listen to the song of an old man. If you sincerely wish to practice Dharma, wash the dirt from off your face and sweep away the filth from your heart. Sincerity and earnestness are good, but humility and modesty are better. Even though you may give away your son and husband, it is better to rely on a qualified guru. Though you may abandon worldly life, to strive for future enlightenment is better. Though one may renounce parsimony and avarice, it is better still to give without sparing. It is wise to know these things. With high spirits you play and sport as shrewdly as a rat. You may be very eloquent, but have no Dharma in your heart. Like a wild peahen you play. Of coquetry you know too much, but too little of devotion, my dear, you are full of cunning and deceit. Like a merchant in the marketplace, it is hard for you to practice Dharma. If you want to practice Buddha's teaching rightly, you should follow me and my path. meditating without distraction in a remote mountain. Bardabom then sang, "You are the Jetson, the precious yogi. One surely will gain benefits by associating with you. In the daytime I am busy working, drowsy I go to bed at night. A slave of household work am I, where can I find the time to practice Dharma?" Milarepa replied, "If you seriously want to practice the Dharma, you must learn that worldly affairs are your enemies and renounce them." And he sang a song called the Four Renunciations. "Listen, you fortunate girl, you who have wealth and faith. Future lives last longer than this life. Do you know how to make provision? Giving with a niggardly heart, as if feeding a strange watchdog, only brings more harm than good. Bringing nothing in return but a vicious bite, renounce parsimony now that you know it's evil. Listen, you fortunate girl, we know less of this life than your next one. Have you prepared and lit your lamp? Should it not be ready, meditate on the great light. If you choose to help an ungrateful foe, you will gain not a friend but damage. Beware of acting blindly. Beware of this evil and discard it. Listen, you fortunate girl, future lives are worse than this life. Have you a guide or escort for your journey? If you have not the right companion, rely on the holy Dharma. Beware of relatives and kinsmen. They hinder and oppose the Dharma. They never help but only harm one. Did you know that your kinsmen are your foe? If this be true, surely you should leave them. Listen, you fortunate girl, the journey in the future life is more hazardous than this one. Have you prepared a fine horse of perseverance for it? If not, you should strive hard and work with diligence. The excitement of the start will soon diminish. Beware the foe, inertness, which makes one go astray. Of no avail are hurry and excitement, which only harm one. Do you yet know that your enemies are laziness and caprice? If you understand my words, you should cast them both away." Bardabom then said, "Dear Lama, I have not yet made any preparation for the next life, but will now begin to do so. Please be kind enough to teach me the practice." Thus, with great sincerity, she besought him. Milarepa was delighted and replied, "I am glad that you are really earnest in devoting yourself to religion. In the tradition of my lineage, it is not necessary to change one's name or to cut off one's hair. One may reach Buddhahood either as a layman or as a monk. Without changing one's status, one may still become a good Buddhist." Then he sang for her a song called the Four Parables and Five Meanings, giving the instruction of mind practice. Listen, you fortunate girl, you who have wealth and faith. Thinking of the magnitude of the sky, meditate on the vastness with no center and no edge. Thinking of the sun and moon, meditate upon their light, without darkness or obscurity. Resembling the unchanging solid mountain before you, you should meditate with steadiness and solidity. Like the ocean, infinitely great and unfathomably deep, absorb yourself in deep contemplation, thus meditate on your self-mind. Thus, with no doubt and error, practice. Then Milarepa instructed her in the physical and mental practices and sent her to meditate. Later on, the girl, having had some experiences, and in order to dispel her doubts and break down her hindrances, came and sang to him, "O you, the Jetson, the precious Guru, you man of consummation, the transformation body of Buddha. It was fine when I contemplated on the sky, but I felt uneasy when I thought of clouds. How should I meditate on them? It was good when I contemplated on the sun and moon, but I felt uneasy when I thought of stars and planets. How should I meditate on them? It felt fine when I contemplated the solid mountain, but I felt uneasy when I thought of trees and bushes. How should I meditate on them? It was good when I contemplated the great ocean, but I felt uneasy when I thought of waves. How should I meditate on them? It was fine when I contemplated the nature of self-mind, but I felt uneasy when I encountered ever-flowing thoughts. How should I meditate on them?" After hearing her song, Milarepa was greatly pleased. He knew that she really had had the experiences in meditation. Thus, in order to clear her doubts and further her understanding, he sang, "Listen, you fortunate girl, you who have wealth and faith. If you felt fine in meditating on the sky, so be it with the clouds. Clouds are but manifestations of the sky, therefore rest right in the sphere of the sky. The stars are but reflections of the sun and moon. If you can meditate on them, then why not on the stars? Therefore absorb yourself in the light of the sun and moon. Bushes and trees are but manifestations of a mountain. If you can meditate well on that, so be it with the trees. Therefore abide in the steadfastness of the mountain. Waves are but the movement of the ocean. If you can meditate well on that, why not on the waves? Therefore, dissolve yourself right in the ocean. The disturbing thought flow manifests the mind. If you can meditate well on that, so be it with the thought flow. Therefore, dissolve yourself into the very essence of mind. From then on, Bada strove to contemplate on the real nature of the mind, and eventually she achieved perfect realization in one life. At her death, she flew to the Dakini's Pure Land in her human body. People all heard the sound of the small drum that she was carrying at the time. This is the story of Milarepa meeting his woman disciple, Bada one of his 4 female heirs, at the place of Gebalasum in Jung.